All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What's going on, everybody? We're back talking some hoops. My man Rio and I, as usual, Mayo Media Network, Wednesdays and Fridays. We're here talking some 8-game NBA. Big prize pools out there as always. Appreciate everyone hanging out. A lot of familiar faces as always. Tweezy, Pairby, Bull, Sean, Evan. Go collect in here. Our man Nades, 8-game perfect slate. I agree, Nades. Perfect slate as well. 4 games in the hockey streets as well. So if you haven't checked out those streets, you got some time. It's not the late swap craziness as the NBA. Prize pools are a little smaller, but hey, you take first place. You'll never complain. Nate has been crushing that content. A lot of familiar faces. Ace Steel, Lay the House. A lot of members in there as well. I've been in some NHL streets as well. And that's the benefit you get at SHIPITNation.com. Not just NBA, NFL. We do have NHL, do have PGA, MMA this weekend as well. So good luck to you this week or tonight, Nate, in the NHL and NBA streets. Ross in here, Gator Nation, Eric Garcia, Mark, William. Appreciate everyone hanging out as always. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button on the Mayo Media Network if you haven't already, which I assume you have. But if you haven't, at the Ship It Nation YouTube station, go over, check that out. Shows on that channel multiple times a week. Gonna bring in my man Rio. Hebrew, how's it going? How was yesterday? Big 10 gamer on the Tuesday. 8 gamer today. I like both 8 games, 10 games, anything above usually 5. 4 is fine as well, but this is a great slate. Injury news piled in, still waiting on stuff. Usual November basketball, man. What's going on?
Yep, it's your typical Wednesday slate. Got a ton of injury news. A lot of the stars possibly going to be sitting tonight, so we'll get up to date on that as we get all the news throughout the day. But yeah, 8 games definitely a sweet spot for NBA. I definitely prefer that rather than the big slates or the 2 gamers. So I'm definitely excited to break these ones down.
Absolutely. And our man says, is that cheetah print title for the cheetah? You betcha. A little cheetah print here and there from my man Rio. Had to break it out. But Gobert should have got ejected last night. I mean, who even knows in the world? Giannis gets ejected for the weakest thing I've ever seen last week, 2 weeks ago. The Gobert stuff, all of that. You never know what you get in the association on a nightly basis. What you do know, prize pools are always going to be good. You're always going to need to be around your computer, and that's no different today. But at least a lot of the injury news, the big stuff, is in these earlier games, kind of like we talked about yesterday. I think it's kind of a familiar slate, or similar slate, I should say, as yesterday's with the early games being king. Appreciate that. I am Chris. I think it was a good show yesterday as well. Let's hope there is no restart needed and nothing like that. 2 days in a row as well. Yep, you'll see Rio and I Tuesdays, Wednesdays, always talking hoops. Zim in here, Ryan Shepard in here. Before we go game by game, we're going to do the screen share too. I'm going to bring up Solver in here. Tambo's done it on this channel, I think Friday most days. So we'll go game by game. Our Ship It Nation projections are loaded in the Solver as well. So we'll break it down there, touch on injury news, all of that. But any initial thoughts besides Giannis is out? So, of course, you're going to be playing some Bucks.
Yeah, definitely going to have some Bucks in the lineup. I think, as you know, we'll get to that game, but definitely be a big boost to some of the Raptors side too, with Giannis being out. But yeah, I mean, we got Jaylen Brown questionable, Embiid questionable, Kyrie, Porzingis, RJ Barrett, like a lot of big news that could really shake the slate.
Yeah, most definitely. So again, a lot of that injury news we are waiting on is in these first couple games. Let me pull up Solver quick. We'll go game by game. And if you do want to head over to SHIPITNation.com first, I'll do that. And you're not a member, make sure you do use that promo code MAYO. You'll get 10% off. Monthly package, $69 a month. 6-month package, $59 a month. Annual package comes out to $49 a month. That is before you use that 10% off code. So then you use code MAYO, comes out to like about $62 a month. And of course, annual, the best package out there. And guess what? We're not going to anybody. We got sports rolling all year long. Prize pools are big. Summer, there's MLB going on, PGA, MMA's year round. Right now, the busy time, NBA, NHL, NFL, all times of the year, we got you covered. So no better price than the annual. If you want to try monthly, though, $69 a month. Use that code MAYO. And, of course, get in the Discord. Huge part of our service over here at SHIPITNation.com. All right, let me pull up screen share. We'll go. Here we go. Hold on. There we go. We'll go game by game as always. Only one 7 p.m. Eastern game to start it off. You see, I'm on the West Coast time, 5 p.m. over here. So first game, Dallas Mavericks, Washington Wizards. Huge total, sitting at about 244. Going to the injury report, we are waiting on news. You mentioned Kyrie. He is questionable. Obviously, huge news. Luka would be even a better play if Kyrie is out. Maxi Kleba is still out as well. On the Washington side, nothing over there. DeLon Wright is still out, so no changes. Throw it to you right away in the first one. Again, looking at this value, our projections, these are our Shipping Nation projections. We have DK, we have FanDuel, we have ownership. They're also preloaded into the solver, which is our partner optimizer over here. Kyrie and Luka, the usual guys, if Kyrie is in. If not, Luka would get even a bigger boost on the slate. And then on the Washington side, a couple more guys you like showing positive value. I do expect Kuzma to probably be the highest owned player in this game if Kyrie's in. If he's out, probably would be Luka. Is how I'm seeing this one. So first game of the night. I don't expect too much combined ownership in this game, though. What do you see?
Yeah, not looking at too much ownership right now. I mean, this is going to be a really good game environment. Super high total. Wizards play 0 defense, so it's really all the Mavericks are kind of in a good spot, really set up for success here. Obviously, yeah, Luka, like you said, would get a pretty. I mean, he's already leading the league in usage. I don't know how much more he can get with Kyrie out. Kyrie's kind of been the number 2 option instead of the 1A, 1B. So I think that Luka is a good play regardless if Kyrie is in or out. He'll probably see Denny Avdija on defense, which would be definitely a matchup that he could exploit. Tim Hardaway Jr. probably would step into the lineup if Kyrie's out, 5,900. I think he'd be a pretty good play. And then I do have a little bit of interest in Derek Lively. I mean, Washington is one of the worst rim defenses in the league right now. They're bottom 3 in that regard. And historically, the last couple of years, since Gafford has got there, they've been one of the worst rim defenses. So I could see, one of those random Derek Lively ceiling games. And he had one earlier in this year, is 5,200, which is a good price tag. So I don't mind him. And then all the secondary guys in the 4Ks for the Mavericks, I don't really have a ton of interest in. It's just going to be everybody Derek Lively up. And then, on the Wizards side, it's pretty much Kyle Kuzma is going to be the top spend on that side. I think Jordan Poole would probably be a much better play if Kyrie is in, because I would expect him to get that defensive assignment, which he could definitely beat. I mean, he was kind of losing minutes a little bit, just really playing poorly, but he got up to 35 last game, had a pretty solid game, 14, 6, and 4. So you like to see that, where he's doing a little bit more of the ball handling. He had a really high usage rate in the beginning of the year, and the usage has kind of been shifting over to Kyle Kuzma a little bit, but it was good to see him get a little bit more involved in this past game. And then Daniel Gafford's also set up in a good spot too. The Mavericks have struggled defending the rim also with Lively, the rookie starting. It's kind of been struggling to defend down there. So I like him. And then Koulibaly has been really good for us these past couple of days. We've been playing him a ton. He's got 34, 33 minutes in back-to-back games. I'm kind of curious to see how the rotation is going to shake out with Gallinari coming back. He did miss last game, so I don't know if Koulibaly was taking minutes away from him or if it was more so the DeLon Wright missing, because I think the last 2 games ago when DeLon Wright missed is when he got up to 34 minutes. So maybe he's kind of – what's that?
DeLon's still out too.
Yeah, DeLon is going to be out. So
and
I'm
Gallo,
wondering.
Man, that man's so old and dusty nowadays. You got to hold like 10 minutes, 15. With how Koulibaly's been playing, I mean, I don't know if you can – he's going to be very low owned. And on this slate, with so much value we already have, maybe just if you have chalk all the way around it. But it isn't like – I'm personally not too scared about Gallo when DeLon's still out. So I do expect similar type usage and role.
Yeah, I'm thinking that Gallo probably just takes backup center minutes away from Muscala, and he just is no longer in the lineup or in the rotation. So Koulibaly's his role seems pretty solidified. So I have some interest in him at 4,500. He's got some upside. Been really good on the defensive end, getting 8 stocks in the past 2 games. That's steals and blocks. So yeah, I like that. I like him, and yeah, I mean, all in all, this game is definitely you can attack it in multiple ways. I definitely have some interest in it.
Yeah, I definitely like your Tim Hardaway shout. If Kyrie's out, he's always a chucker when he's in there. Now, I'll go back to because you mentioned it, like Luka's Luka. Kyrie's taken a backseat a little bit. But when Kyrie's in, I mean, he's still chucking 25, 30% usage rate almost every game. This is transitioning a little bit and we're guessing a bit, ball type stuff. If Kyrie's out, of course, Luka, there's no one else he has to worry about needing the ball, needing his own shots. But double teams and just forcing others to beat you is also more in play as well. I mean, Derrick Jones out there. Of course, Hardaway can fill it up. There's Green, though. There's not many threats outside of Kyrie where you can't really just throw doubles at Luke all day because Kyrie can beat you one-on-one and scramble D. So any thoughts on that? Because I just initially, Kyrie out, big boost Luka. He's going to take all the shots. But the more you look at it, talk about it, and with already Luka's role, any thoughts on that? Because you kind of made me think that way a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible. I think, maybe they just throw like Denny and Kuzma at Luka every time he touches the ball. We've definitely seen that happen before, and that will definitely open up a ton of open looks for guys like Hardaway and Derrick Jones Jr., Grant Williams. So I think that's an interesting angle for sure. I'm not sure if I could find some data on double teams for the Wizards this year, but it'd be interesting to see if we could get some more data behind that. But yeah, I mean, that's definitely a possibility. That I think that Hardaway would probably become a pretty solid option if Irving's going to be out.
And the last thing, so right now, if Kyrie's in and injury news, at least a lot of the Q tags are in right now, I think more people will go the balanced build approach. There isn't too many studs to spend on this slate. There is obviously no Giannis. Luka's the only one over. Hold on, let me get it. So, there is Embiid. He's questionable. That's obviously big news there. But if Kyrie's out, Luka is going to be the guy everyone's going to want. People aren't going to play D-Book, AD. That's a fine price tag, but I don't think many get there. Tatum, LeBron, KD. I really think it's going to be D-Mitch at 9-1 and below. Dame obviously in there without Giannis. So I think more people go balance build right now. How much do you see that changing, or do you think you'd be able – is there enough value on the slate if Kyrie's out that you can get to more Luka and flop builds? And do you think that would be the popular build, more stars and scrubs if we do get Kyrie out, or do you still think it stays more mid-tier?
I think it probably stays more mid-tier just with all of the value opening up in Milwaukee. I mean, De'Aaron Fox is in a really good spot. Donovan Mitchell, Dame, obviously. There's a lot of good guys in the 9K to 8K range tonight. So I could definitely see Luka still coming in pretty low owned. And I mean, if we get the Embiid news early, then it probably would make it a lot easier to get up to Luka. But yeah, as I see it right now, I think the mid-tier build is going to be a lot higher owned.
Yeah, maybe it does because the Embiid news is at 7:30 again. We're waiting on Barrett news, waiting on a couple pieces of news. So maybe if, like I said, if those Q tags are ruled in, I still think it'll stay more balanced because as of now, we don't have the best of value. And the mid-tier is already solid with injury news we do have. But if Embiid's ruled out, RJ, if all these questionable tags are ruled out and more value opens up, then I think fitting into Luka, you can go Luka, Dame, Luka, D-Mitch, and there'll be enough value that way where ownership will then go a little bit there. And yeah, we'll get to the Tatum with Brown out potentially as well. If Jaylen Brown's out, more value even opens up. Then Tatum is a much better play, and then Luka's ownership would be in check as well. So if then scenarios we'll talk about, and of course always in our content, Rio, he does the slate plan. He had Giannis in it yesterday. Giannis is out. Things change. Updates are in yellow. Slate plan, core plays, core reports, and he also adds and changes notes down there as well. So make sure constantly keep that in ownership, or projections are updated throughout the night as well and tagged every single time in the Discord. So make sure if you're playing NBA, you always got to be around your computer updating those projections. Let's keep it rolling. Next game on the slate, big one again with injury news. Milwaukee Bucks, Toronto Raptors, about 225 total. Bucks are a small favorite, sitting about 1.5. Giannis is out for the Bucks. Jay Crowder is also out for the Bucks. On the Toronto side, OG and Trent are doubtful. Dennis Schroeder is questionable. So another piece of news. And if Schroeder's out, I think Malachi Flynn would probably slide into the starting lineup. Again, more value would be opened up right there. I forget that I'm doing so many things at once. This is the game we're talking about. Obviously, you can see Bobby, Brook, Dame, the three biggest beneficiaries without Giannis. Do we need a Pat Con? I'm Beauchamp on this slate. I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Again, I think they're more in play if all the Q tags are then ruled in and we just get the slate we're looking at now with not too much value. Otherwise, if a Malachi Flynn starts or an Embiid's ruled out, I don't think Beauchamp and Pat Cons are needed on this slate. Middleton with his minutes restriction, no thank you. But touch on Siakam, Scotty Barnes, and what Schroeder news does for you as well. This is the premier game of the slate due to the injury news without Giannis and OG, Trent, and possibly even better if Schroeder's ruled out.
Yeah, the Schroeder news is pretty big because the Raptors would be pretty thin with ball handlers. So I could see Scotty Barnes and Siakam kind of running the de facto point guard role if Schroeder misses. Malachi Flynn probably gets the start, and I think he'd be a great value at 3,600. We've been wanting to attack the Bucks all year with guards, so I would definitely have some interest in him. But I think that Scotty Barnes and Siakam would see a pretty meaningful boost. I think Scotty Barnes probably comes in really low owned just because he's 9,200. I think people are kind of scared off of that price tag. He's going to be priced around guys like Donovan Mitchell and Damian Lillard. So I could see him coming in, just getting squeezed and being like 5% owned probably. And I mean, this would be a really good matchup for him. So I have a lot of interest in Scotty Barnes for sure. I mentioned it in the slate plan. I think that, well, it's a little bit different now with Giannis. I think that kind of changes the whole game plan for the Raptors, but I was expecting Precious Achiuwa to kind of get some more minutes in this one. Just wanting to kind of the Bucks are a team that you can beat with 3-pointers, and I mean right now the Raptors really don't have anybody that can shoot threes in their starting lineup. I mean Barnes has been a little bit better this year. Siakam's not a 3-point shooter. Schroeder's not a 3-point shooter. Pirtle can't shoot a lick. So I think it would definitely bring a guy like Achiuwa into consideration, but I mean, with the value opening up now, I don't think you would need to get too cute and go down there. And yeah, I mean, on the Bucks side, obviously Giannis it's going to open up a ton of value for Bobby Portis. He's going to probably slide into the starting lineup. I would not be surprised to see something weird happen like Pat Connaughton starting though, just because the Bucks. I don't know who would be the backup center. Maybe they bring Robin Lopez into the rotation a little bit, but they were kind of using Bobby Portis as a small ball center. So it'd be kind of interesting to see how they approach that. Maybe that just boosts up Bobby's minutes limit at the center spot, and Brook Lopez kind of gets taken out a little bit. So I'm not really sure. I mean, we got to get the starters, but I mean, regardless, Bobby Portis in a really good spot, and then Damian Lillard is going to have a huge role. His usage rate got boosted up to. I mean, that's a meaningful boost. I definitely have a lot of interest in Dame here. Not the best matchup. The Raptors are pretty good at defending 3-pointers, but Dame has been a pretty drive heavy this year, so maybe he can get to the rim against a weak rim defender in Jakob Poeltl. So I mean, I definitely like Dame a lot. Probably going to be one of my favorite spends on the slate.
Yeah, the Bobby's is really interesting. Like I actually don't want him to start because I guess I don't know how much that would change his ownership. It all depends on the projection, but he would have to play backup 5 because if not, like Robin Lopez hasn't seen the court. I mean, I think he's seen it for like 2 minutes or something this year, but I think it would have to maybe be Robin as the backup 5 unless they just stagger Brook and Bobby's minutes pretty early because, I mean, Toronto has size. They're going to have size all game. Like, I mean, Thanasis, like at that point, you just go traditional big with Robin. They have so many guards back there. Like Beauchamp can only play so big. Pat-Con can only play so big. Mig can only play so big. So, yeah, man, Bobby and Brook, Dame, Bobby, Brook. Like, there's no hot takes with any of those guys. You check our value. It's by far the 3 best. If all these other Q tags are rolled in and the slate starts now, I do think the Pat-Cons, the Beauchamps, are pretty good plays just because we don't have that much value and you want Dame, you want a Scotty Barnes, spend ups like that. But those are the guys that definitely become worse plays if Embiid's out, if Jaylen Brown's out, if Schroeder's out, and Malachi Flynn. Touch a little bit about another value Grady Dick people are talking about. Let's say if Schroeder's in, are you going to get to any of him? Like I prefer the Pat-Cons and the Beauchamps over Grady Dick, even if Schroeder's in. If Schroeder's out, then I think I'd boost the Grady Dicks, the Malachi Flynns ahead of him. But what are your thoughts there? We've had multiple people ask about him.
Yeah, I think they're asking because I had him written up in the slate plan last night. This was before we got all of this value, so I don't think that he's really needed. I liked him a little bit better. If Schroeder was going to be in and Otto Porter was starting for the Raptors, just because the way to beat the Bucks is with threes, and I don't think that Otto Porter Jr. is really that good of a 3-point shooter at this point of his career. So I thought that maybe he had a chance to kind of sneak in and be a low on value option, but I don't know if it's really going to be needed. I mean, maybe he gets some extra minutes with Schroeder missing, but yeah, I don't think he's really needed. I would just rather pay the $100 for Flynn probably.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I would take the starter too. I don't think you necessarily need Grady Dick on this slate. Again, if Schroeder's out and he's starting, then I would definitely have interest, but I would take the starter Malachi Flynn. And I do prefer Pat Con. If Schroeder's in, prefer Pat Con Beauchamp over Grady Dick as well. But this is definitely a great game. People are going to the Bucks side. I like your Scotty Barnes shout, Siakam right there. Hey, and if Dennis Schroeder's in, feels like always those Q tags, or a good amount of the time, those Q tags, even if they are in, come in much lower owned. So I still think Schroeder probably is sub 10%, something like that. Would be an interesting play as well against Dame, who plays no defense. But definitely love it. And I like Bobby and Brooke even more than I initially thought with the lack of size the Bucks have in the front court. Keep it rolling. Next game on the slate. Yeah, I appreciate everyone hanging out, watching. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're watching live, watching on playback. Helps us out a ton. New York Knicks, Atlanta Hawks. We got about 230 total. The Knicks are favored by 1, close to that. On the injury report, RJ Barrett questionable. Big news. Hopefully we get it before the slate. They played yesterday. RJ Barrett was it yesterday or 2 days ago they played? I think it was yesterday. 2 days ago and he was ruled out for that game. So didn't play. He was questionable. It's a migraine. So who knows what his status will be. If he's out, we saw Josh Hart have a massive game. I'd expect him to start again, would become a solid value play. Nothing on the Hawks side. Trae Young will be back for this one, so we don't have to worry about Hawks chalk like yesterday. It is now Bucks chalk. What are you doing in this one? I do not think ownership, looking at our ranking or at our projections, really just Julius Randle or bust. As far as ownership goes, I don't even know how owned Julius Randle will be, especially like if Jaylen Brown are ruled out, stuff like that. People rather Dame, people rather D-Mitch, a Luka if Kyrie's out. So I think this game all is going to be, or in general, is going to be pretty low owned. I guess Randall's fine. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
No, I think the projections are pretty spot on. The only person I really had interest in this game when I was looking at it last night was Julius Randle, just because the Hawks are really, really bad defending the interior right now. So I could see him having a pretty big scoring output. Hasn't really had that big of a ceiling this year, there's enough mouths to feed, and he doesn't really do much outside of scoring. He might be able to fall into a double-double, but he's had a couple pretty big rebounding games. But I mean, even then he's only getting up to 54 DraftKings points. So it's not like the 60-point ceiling that we have seen from Randle in previous years. I just think with Brunson there, it takes a lot of the upside off of him. So he's really just he's a fine play at 8,200, I think. And I have a little bit of interest in Mitchell Robinson for the same reason. Hawks are terrible down low. I could see him. I mean, I think he had his highest minute game the last time these two teams played. He got up to 38 minutes the second game of the season, put up 40 DraftKings points. So I definitely think something like that is in play here, and he's going to be super low owned. So I definitely don't mind him down at 5.5. On the Hawks side, I mean, everybody got priced up after yesterday. Pretty crazy seeing DeJounte and Trae only $200 apart now. But yeah, I just don't think you can really make a big case for any of these guys. Maybe if you wanted to get to one of the forward guards and Bogdan, Hunter, and Sadiq Bey, you could make a case for them. The New York is a little bit worse at defending three-pointers, so maybe somebody like Bey or Bogdan can get hot. But they're all priced around $5K now, so that's a little bit too expensive. So it's pretty much just Randle or bust for me in this game, and then a little bit of Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah, I really don't see much. So you do prefer Randle over Jalen Brunson too? Those are guys like I always prefer, like real life. I think Brunson's a million times better, and I usually side with him. But the rebounding floor for Randle, the double-double, the price this close, I don't know. I think I lean with the projection here, especially 5 points. It's usually I don't fade that too much, but any quick thoughts there? It's not a game we like much, so just trying to get anything out of you before we go to the next one.
I'm in agreement with you. Maybe if it was a different matchup, maybe if the Knicks were playing the Bucks or something, I would like Brunson more, but not in this one.
Yeah, that's it. 8 games, you can make it 7 games is how I'm seeing this one. Some of these later games, not great either, but if you land on a Mitch Rob, Brunson, Trey, Randall, one off this game, pretty low ownership, I think that's fine as well. What is the promo code? Colin is asking. Promo code, someone helped you, I saw in there as well, but use that promo code MAYO, and they'll get you 10% off. So use that promo code MAYO, any package, 10% off. And if you join, make sure to get in the Discord. Huge piece of our content. Just an awesome community in there. A lot of knowledgeable members talking all sports, college basketball chat, college football chats, tennis chats. And again, those aren't part of our subscription. We don't charge for those. It's members run, and shout out Smarty. Multiple members in there running Discords with Smarty. Absolutely been crushing college football streets, college basketball. I see him and Mama Rocks in there a lot as well. So use that code MAYO. Next game on the slate. Man, it is, I don't know. Tambo's a pro at doing all this stuff at once. Boston Celtics, Philadelphia 76ers. Huge news we're waiting in this one on both sides, but Boston is favored by about 5.5, 225 total. Boston, we're waiting on Jaylen Brown and Porzingis news, both questionable. Obviously, very big news. This game's 30 minutes after lock. Hopefully, we get it before lock. On the Philly side, Embiid is questionable again. He was questionable yesterday. He played, absolutely smashed. Questionable again if he's out, just like we talked about yesterday. Paul Reed would start, be the best player on the slate, the highest owned play on the slate. Kelly Oubre is still out in this one, and so is Batum, which means Robert Covington is starting again, and he is a little more expensive than yesterday at least. And you see that, or you see our projections. Where is Rocco in this one? Did they not have him projected? I'll have to look into that projection because he should be projected a little more. But, man, he played, 16 minutes, didn't shoot the ball, 1 for 3. I can't play him at 4.6K. I'm glad the
You're going to have to
price
scroll
up there.
down further. He's got a terrible projection, so he's
way
bad
down
value.
there.
Yeah.
15.6. That's right, though, at the end of the day. If Embiid's out, though, I don't know. That price tag would be pretty interesting. Obviously, the Paul Reeds, the Maxis, the Tobias of the world gets the biggest bump. But do you think you could go back to a Rocco right there? At the end of the day, Embiid's out. All the chalk, the ownership goes to these Philly guys. You need some value. All of it goes to Paul Reed, maybe some Rocco. There's Meltons as well. Talk about both sides, Brown and Embiid, if-then scenarios. And if they're both in, fade. What are you doing in this one?
Okay, so I'll start with the Sixers side first with Joel Embiid.
No Rocco. No one wants Rocco. Well, you better hope Embiid's in, but you can always fade anyone. So, yeah, keep it.
Yeah. Embiid, I feel like this is a spot he might be taking off. I think somebody said the spread might have moved a little bit earlier in chat. I think it was at 3 and up to 5 now. So I think that this is a chance for Embiid to sit. I think that the Celtics
talked about it yesterday too. It's not to interrupt, but we both thought he's sitting one of the games. And the more we talked about it, you take your easier win and then you sit him against a harder team. So I'm expecting to miss too, but we're going to get this news. And last thing I guess I will say, Dallas and Washington game, if we don't get this Embiid, Jaylen Brown, RJ Barrett news and stuff, I'd be way more likely to fade that first game and just wait for the news. It's not that important by any means, but go ahead. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, I agree though. I hope I don't make any Sixers fans mad when I say this, but I mean, it seems like Embiid's kind of ducks the tougher matchups a little bit. We've seen him sit a bunch of games when he's going up against Jokic. So going against the best team in the East, maybe it's a chance for him to get a little rest and rest his hip up. So maybe he sits out tonight. But I mean, if he plays, obviously he's got one of the higher ceilings on the slate. Matchup's gonna be a lot tougher though. I mean, the Celtics are one of the best defensive teams in the league. They got enough guys to throw at him with Porzingis and Al Horford. I mean, Luke Cornett, maybe he would sneak into the rotation if Porzingis were to miss. But I mean, it's kind of a lot of the things on the slate are dictated by Embiid in or out because Paul Reed is going to be a really, really good option, even getting priced up to 4,400. I just want to touch on the Robert Covington thing real quick. I was listening to something earlier this morning that kind of made a lot of sense where if you look at the minutes, you see Patrick Beverley got up to 28 minutes. It made a lot more sense for them to play Beverley over Covington last night with going against Tyrese Halliburton and Buddy Hield and Benedict Mathurin. They don't have Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum where they need to throw a big forward defender at them like Robert Covington. So tonight he probably sees more minutes than he saw last night, but you never know. I don't think that I'm going to be going back to Robert Covington. No flop lag for me.
Regardless if Embiid's in or out, there's enough on the slate.
Yeah,
I think it's right. I don't think you need to do it.
Yeah, I think it's right. I don't think we're going to see that random 50-point Covington game we saw a couple years ago at the end of the season. I think I would rather just play a guy like Paul Reed, who I know is guaranteed to at least put up some fantasy points. I can't accept 6.5 points again from a guy like Covington. They're touching on the injury news for the Boston side. I think that Jaylen Brown probably has a pretty good chance to sit. Anytime you see somebody go from, no injury tag to questionable with an illness, it's more than likely they're sitting out. So I would be expecting him to sit. I think Porzingis probably plays, though. His injury might just be more like an injury maintenance thing. They could just be playing injury chicken with the Sixers and waiting to see if Embiid is going to sit or not, and then maybe decide then. So I would expect one of these guys to play. Probably going to be Porzingis, but if Jaylen Brown misses, I think that would probably bring in a guy like Sam Hauser into the lineup. He's been getting talked up a bunch by Joe Mazzulla. He likes him a lot. I don't know if he has a ton of upside at 4,400. Yeah, really, really good shooter, but I just don't know if 4,400. What do you think about that price tag for him if he's starting?
It's still I don't love this game environment, and I still think JB's out. Assuming JB is out, Porzingis is in. If both of them are out, I would like it more. But it's just going to be more Tatum, more Drew, more Derek White. Hauser needs the hits. I mean, he's a straight sniper. Know him back he went to Wisconsin too. So he didn't go to Wisconsin college. He played high school ball in Wisco. So follow him forever. But Mazzulla definitely likes him, and he can fill it up and get hot quick. But if it ain't going down, I mean, the peripherals are kind of dead. So on a slate like this, if Embiid was in, if Jaylen Brown was one of the only guys that was ruled out, we don't have the Paul Reed, we don't have anything like that. Yeah, I think that's when you can get to Hauser, because then you're comparing him to the Pat Cons, the Beauchamps, who are also already coming off the bench anyway. So I guess if the Q tags are in, I think Hauser would be fine. But if Horford starts, if Porzingis was out, I think Horford would start. I'd much prefer him. But you can also go back to the case. Yeah, he can be out there and have an 8% usage rate and just get cardio as well. So I don't love it as much. I think the more I talk about it, I still would prefer the Bucks guys unless Hauser is starting.
Yeah. I guess if both Brown and Porzingis missed, that would definitely bring Horford into the lineup. I think I would have a little bit less interest if Embiid is in, just because Embiid is so good at drawing fouls. I mean, I think he got 5 guys into foul trouble last night on the Pacers. I think Miles Turner had 4 fouls in 13 minutes or something like that. So I would not have a ton of interest in Al Horford, but I mean, Luke Cornett is going to enter the lineup. I don't know if you'd have any interest in him.
You think? I don't know, man. I get if he was starting. So you think Luke Cornett would get the nod?
Sorry, I meant just he would enter the rotation, not enter the starting lineup.
Okay,
Al Horford would definitely be starting.
Yeah, so I doubt I'd get to Cornett if Cornett somehow did start, but I think it would be the Horford. I still don't think I would get to Luke Cornett. Honestly, I would prefer the Beauchamps, the Pat Cons, probably even the Hausers. But no, I don't see myself really getting there.
Yeah.
What about Tatum?
Yeah, I was going to say I would have a ton of interest in Tatum. I mean, he'll have a ton of free looks if Embiid is out. But even if he's not, if we get the value with no Brown and Porzingis, he's going to be handling all the offensive load for the Celtics. He's going to be super drive heavy and should be able to get out to the rim a bunch. I definitely have a lot of interest in Tatum at 10-1. Not sure I would like him much more than the guys in the low 9Ks, but I would probably prefer him rather than paying up for a Luka. Sandwich in between Luka and the 9K guys. I think I would like Tatum.
And I don't think ownership, even if Jaylen Brown or Porzingis, if both of them are ruled out, I think Tatum's ownership will probably go up. But I still expect D. Mitch and the Dames of the world to be more popular. So getting on a little different build and not going all the way up to Luke, I agree with you. Because right now we don't have the value I love enough. Paul Reed, he's still not at mid price at 3K. So yeah, I agree. I think Tatum, one of those guys I would prefer would be Jaylen Brown. I would love Tatum. in a competitive game environment. I don't have to worry about these other bums on the Celtics, play the value on the Bucks and other places, and get different at the stud. We talked about it yesterday, how we ended the show. Tyrese, like, eat some of the chalk. Covington definitely didn't work out. Bogdanovich didn't even do that great anyway. A lot of the other Hawks got there, DeJounte's of the world. Get different at studs. All these guys have 70-plus point upside at the end of the day. Tyrese is that dude. He showed it yesterday at, 4% or something? So you could see Tatum might not be 4%. He's definitely going to be down there, though. Could easily see chalk around Tatum, and that be the way. So what's going on? Lay the house. Jason in here as well. Favorite part of the day. We love to hear that. I missed the comment. Somewhere way up there. Best part of the day. It's our favorite part of the day as well. So we'll keep it rolling, though. Not a game. It's a game you definitely have to monitor. If Embiid and Jaylen Brown and Porzingis are all in, I think you can easily stay away from it. Embiid would be fine, but at that price tag, I don't even think I like that. Give me more of the balance build. It'd just be a completely fade. Give me one of Jaylen Brown or Porzingis out. Tatum would definitely be my favorite. If Porzingis is out, Horford starts, big bump. Embiid out, then you get the Maxis, Tobias, Paul Reeds of the world. But we'll monitor news as always in that one. Next game on the slate. Gosh, man, Tambo's so good at this. 8 p.m. Eastern, those games, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. Those are the three main games on this slate right there. RJ Barrett news, that's the third most important game. We already have the Bucks, Toronto news, but this Boston Philly game, these 5:30 games, very, very important. And most of my roster positions will be filled in these first couple. I don't like the late games nearly as much, but Bulls, Orlando Magic, the Bulls are favored by about 1.5, 215 total. Going to the injury report, Wendell Carter still out, Markelle Fultz still out, so I expect Black to continue to start. Goga start at the 5 and split minutes with Mo Wagner. On the Chicago side, DeMar is out. Caruso is questionable. Again, this Caruso news obviously is not nearly as important as Embiid, Barrett, Jaylen Brown. I'm not backloading by any means, but does it do anything for you? I know we got some Patrick Williams talk in Discord earlier in the day. Kobe White projecting pretty well. Obviously, no DeRozan, Levine, and Vooch, always a great play. Paulo's someone I never like clicking that button, though, man. So I'll let you touch on him in this Orlando side.
Yeah, no, I touched on it yesterday. Paulo's best games have definitely come with Markelle Fultz missing, but I'm not seeing enough from him at 7,700 to want to pay for him. I mean, these are two of the slowest paced teams in the league. Magic have a pretty good defense. I actually think the Bulls might be the slowest paced team in the league right now. I mean, they're just totally fine getting set up in the half court. I mean, that just takes off a ton of possessions, and I don't really have a ton of interest in this game, regardless of how well he's projecting right now. I mean, Levine looking like he's getting some ownership, but it's kind of a similar story with him. It's a bad-ish matchup. Magic have been pretty good defensively. Should get a ton of more usage with DeMar missing, but I don't know if I see the ceiling game from Levine here in this type of game environment. I would much rather just pay down $2,200 and pay for Kobe White, who's been really solid on the year. I think he would definitely get a little bit of his minutes taken away if Caruso were to come back in the lineup. I mean, a questionable tag is an upgrade from he's been doubtful the last couple of days, so getting closer to coming back. Don't really have a good lean on if he's going to be in or out, but that would definitely take away some of the minutes upside from Kobe White. I mean, Patrick Williams is going to be a really popular option, 3,900, probably steps into the starting lineup. I mean, that seems like a pretty solid value, but value can definitely fail. So if you have any sort of pivots in that range, you can definitely go with it. I mean, Torrey Craig is a $100 more, looking at a third of the ownership. So that could be your pivot right there. I mean, you can definitely find $100 to get up to him. I mean, Patrick Williams has a lot more upside, though. He can actually score the ball. Torrey Craig is just going to be standing in the corner and kind of picking up some rebounds, and that's kind of where he gets his fantasy points. But yeah, I don't have a ton of interest in this game. Basically, I prefer the value option on the Bulls side.
Yeah, Orlando's the easy fave for me. Nothing's going to change that. No thanks to Paulo. I do like your take on Levine too. So all four, Vooch, Levine, Kobe White, Patrick Williams, all going to get a good bit of ownership. Levine's definitely my least favorite. He's just – the guard forward eligibility is nice, but he's just so scoring dependent. Give me Vooch's floor with the rebounding, the double-double upside. I always hesitate. Do I mention the revenge? Like most people watching probably knew Vooch played for Orlando, revenge game, all that. But I don't know. Basketball, I weight it more than I do baseball, of course, because baseball, you're trying to hit the ball regardless. You're very easy to go 0 for 4. Nothing changes there. Whereas basketball, especially a Vooch, I guess, can call for the ball a little more down low, ISO, stuff like that. So if you want to do more damage, you want to take more shots, you have the ability to easier in NBA. So I should mention, I guess, revenge games and stuff a little more. It's definitely not a negative weight, but it's still not something I really try and weight too much in my process. But I do like Vooch way more than Levine. But my two favorites would be Kobe White and Patrick Williams. And I guess Torrey Craig would probably be behind Vooch. But on the slate we have right now, if Embiid is in, if Brown is in, and we don't have these value pieces, you're getting good minutes from. I do expect Patrick Williams to start. Kobe White, even if Caruso is back, has been playing good ball. Great price tag. The minutes are there. He's going to chalk. So give me the value guys mainly in this one. And Vooch is a spend up. So I'd rank them probably still would be Kobe, Pat, Vooch, Craig, and nothing on the Orlando side. Levine is going to be popular. There's no doubt. Or not popular. He's going to be mid-tier owned, I guess. Some people will be more popular, but if you can't fit the Dames, the D Mitches, you'll come down to the Levine price tag. Guard forward eligibility, he would be my least favorite. Chalk option there. We'll keep it rolling. Next game on the slates. Again, appreciate everyone hanging out. If you do want to head over to SHIPITNation.com, get all of our projections, ownership, core reports, cash core reports. Tools will be going live soon. Data coming up end of November, early December. Our ceiling tools will be live as well. Use that promo code MAYO, get you 10% off any package. Next game on the slate, Minnesota Timberwolves, Phoenix Suns. And again, these last couple games, not as much interest, and ownership will not be as high in these last couple for the most part than these early games as well. But what do we got? We got the Suns, T-Wolves, 224 total. The Suns are favored by 6. Looking at the injury report on the Suns side, absolutely nothing to worry about. Damian Lee's out. That does nothing. Nothing changes. And on the Minnesota side, nothing there as well. Looking at our projections and value, yeah, there's some okay, I guess. Towns, Ant, Gobert. But compared it to this Bucks, compare it to the Hawks Atlanta game, not great value. Ownership, I don't expect to be very high. Two healthy teams. Nothing for me in this one. That's a completely fade for the most part. What about you?
Yeah, pretty much for the most part too. I don't see how you can play any of these Suns right now with them getting fully healthy, getting Beal and Devin Booker back here. I think this might be the first time we've seen the big three play together. So it'll be interesting just to see how the rotation shakes out for them for future references. But I wouldn't expect Devin Booker to get a huge minutes workload after returning from his second injury stint on the year. So I definitely don't have interest in him or any of the Suns. And yeah, Karl-Anthony Towns would be the only guy on the Wolves that I would be interested in. I like I think he has decent upside at 7,900 with he's gotten a couple double-doubles this year, so I like that, but it's not like he's not a smash play by any means. If you find yourself with 7,900, I think I would probably prefer him over like Levine and Vucevic maybe. Yeah, just not a ton of interest in this game though.
8-game slate, make it a 7-game slate. There's enough. Like I think some of these Q tags are going to sit. Like I lean Embiid sitting, which would even change the slate even more. There's no need to get to this game, even if all these Q tags are in. If they're out, definitely easy for me to get away. So Beal at 7-1. Yeah, you can see our projections think it's fine. Our value thinks it's fine. If you like it, go for it. There's other spots I like definitely a lot more. And the last thing I will say, definitely do not trust DraftKings as your injury news. So go to Underdog or on Twitter, Underdog NBA. They have the best injury reporting, and AD is going to play. LeBron is questionable. I would not take anything. I'd take that as a grain of salt, so not worried about that. But LeBron is a game-time decision. We will touch on that later. Let's get to the next game, the best game in the afternoon, no doubt about that. I guess it's the afternoon for all these games, but in the night, you guys know what I'm talking about. Cleveland Cavaliers, Portland Trailblazers. What do we got? 218 total. Cavs, big favorites, 10.5. And on the injury report, why this game will get some ownership. Darius Garland's out for the Cleveland side, which is why we keep touching on Donovan Mitchell. Isaac Okoro also out. On the Portland side, Brogdon, Scoot, Anthony Simons, all still out. Of course, Robert Williams also still out as well. but they've been out, so no changes on the Portland side. The prices are accounting for all them being out. Still like Skylar Mays, still like Jeremy Grant, who are playing all the minutes in the world, and I still think Ayton is a strong play as well. The same dudes we touched on yesterday. Shaedon Sharpe, guard forward eligibility is nice as well. Can always fill it up, but that price tag getting up there a bit. Solid pivot from a Levine, though. So I think Sharpe's fine. These three definitely my favorites. There, though, the Cleveland side going to get ownership without Garland. You see the most popular, D. Mitch, LeVert, Mobley. What's your take on Garland being out? Any Portland interests? By far the best game in the night slate if you are doing the night 2-gamer tonight.
Yeah, I definitely have a ton of interest in Donovan Mitchell in this matchup. The Blazers are the second worst rim defense on the year. Donovan Mitchell's taking a ton of drives a game, 14 per game. It was already leading the team in usage at 31%. I mean, he's got all of the everything kind of working in his favor here. So I really like him. We know that the Cleveland rotation is pretty condensed, so we'll see heavy minutes from all of the starters. And then the guys like Wayne, Thompson, Niang will mix in for a few wherever they're needed. But yeah, I really like Donovan Mitchell. He's one of my favorite spend ups. Him and Dame probably 1A, 1B. So I really like him tonight. The matchup is equally as good for Evan Mobley, 7,300. Haven't really seen big upside game from him ever since Jared Allen returned. That kind of just takes away a lot of his rebounding upside. So I would be a little bit cautious at the ownership. I think at 7,300. Matchup is as good as it can get, though, for a big man. So I definitely have some interest, but I don't know if the upside is as big as we saw earlier in the year when they were really thin. Definitely have a ton of interest in Karis LeVert, too, though, 6,400. He's right behind Donovan in drives per game at 14. So, I mean, he's going to have a really good matchup here as well. And even if he's not starting, I expect him to start this game. I think he was picking up the starts for Garland earlier in the year. So I expect him to start, and he probably will be staggered with Donovan a little bit and run the second unit. So I think he has a ton of upside at 6,400. Really like him. And I want to be into Jared Allen, but just right now with him being on a pretty strict minutes restriction, I don't see how you can pay that tag for him. I mean, he could luck box into a double-double pretty easily in this matchup probably and maybe pay off the tag, but I don't think you really need to go there at almost 6K. Not a ton of interest in Max Strus or any of the secondary guys. And yeah, I think I'm kind of struggling with the Blazers side a little bit. They're going to, all the starters will see huge minutes. I mean, Shaedon Sharpe and Jeremy Grant will see near 40 minutes if the game stays close throughout. So you can always pay up for them to be a little bit contrarian. They're looking at a little bit of ownership. So they're fine maybe in some mini game stacks if you want to get into that. I think Skylar Mays would probably be the preferred piece. Cleveland's not been that good against point guards on the year, and he's got a pretty strong role since entering the starting lineup. So I think he's fine at 7K. And I mean, a little bit interesting, Toumani Camara at 3,800, another value option down there where some of those guys like Patrick Williams and Pat Con are seeing a little bit of ownership. He could be a pivot. He started last game, didn't do too well, started off pretty hot and kind of cooled off in the second half. But I mean, starting at 3,800 is kind of all you're asking for down there. Jabari Walker's seeing a little bit of ownership too. He had a big game last time out against the Jazz, put up 29 DraftKings points in only 21 minutes. He's always been a really solid fantasy producer. So I think he's fine, only at 3,300 if you wanted to. I mean, he'll probably play into blowouts too, which is nice. So he's kind of interesting. But yeah, my main interest comes from the Cavaliers side with Donovan Mitchell and LeVert leading the way, and then Mobley close third behind those guys.
I'd rank him. LeVert's my favorite for sure with guard forward eligibility at that price tag. Like you said, when Mitchell's not on the court, I think LeVert will be. I think pretty much all 48 will be staggered. I do think LeVert handles the ball a good amount without him. I will say I do like Strus more than you, though. Guard forward eligibility as well. He's had, his peripherals have been solid this year. He has shot the ball pretty efficient. So you're seeing these 35s. Like, I'm not necessarily calling that a ceiling. You see he chucked it, got 46, but 35 is definitely a good game. Shot the ball well recently, but reboundings have been there. Assist numbers been there a bit as well. No Garland, can't hurt him. So I do have a little more interest in that side than you. Don't love Jared Allen really on this minutes restriction. Mobley, I think he's fine. I do prefer LeVert Mitchell more, but I like the Portland side because people are going to play people are going to play the other side with the Cavs, similar to yesterday with Embiid and some of these Sixers. People just didn't want to go to anyone on the other side. You need the game to stay close at a 10.5-point spread if you are going the Mitchells, the LeVerts of the world to pay off their price tag to fully smash, and you get starters that are going to play all the minutes in the world. So I get Skylar Mays at 7K. Like if I told you that a month ago, you'd be like, what in the world are we doing here? But with the minutes and stuff, I mean, minutes is king in NBA. Ownership, I think, will be in check on these guys. Grant, Mays, Ayton, even Sharp. He definitely would be my least favorite because of the price out of those three. But I think all three are very strong plays. And I do like the Cavs side, so I'll be mixing all of them in for sure. How I'd rank them.
So I don't think that I've seen a big of a price jump from Skylar Mays than I have seen in like any player in recent memory. Just going from like being out of the rotation and mid price.
I was gonna fair enough. I was gonna say Scotty, what was 65 to start the year, and now he's 90 something. But yeah, there's no doubt. Last year, who was the guy last year that he got up to like all the way? Jalen Williams, I know, got all the way up there, but I thought there was someone else that got up to like high 8, low 9Ks at the end of the year in March when no one was really playing. It was just Shaedon Sharp, maybe Sharp was all the way up to 9 or something. He started the year all the way down there. So I mean, give me the minutes. Mays, Grant, Ayton. I rank them LeVert, Mitchell, Mobley. Definitely a great game to target in the night slate. It's early, and then it's this Cavs-Portland game. I think crossing off Minnesota, Phoenix. Orlando Bulls has some interest, not on the Orlando side. If Boston and Philly are healthy, I think that could be a cross-off. We didn't love the Knicks-Atlanta game as much. The first game is okay. So the story of the slates, just a slate over before we touch on this last game. Bucks-Toronto, you're going to want some. Going to have to monitor injury news in these middle games. And this Cleveland-Portland game, the second best game of the slate, is how I see it right now. So let's get to the last one. Again, we touched a little bit on injury news. LeBron is questionable. AD is going to play. We got that news during the show, but it is the Lakers taking on Sacramento Kings. Pretty big total, 236. Lakers small favorites, sitting about 1.5, depending on where you look. On the Lakers side, outside of LeBron, nothing we have to worry about. And again, I would not backload your teams or wait for LeBron news on this slate. On the Kings side, we're not waiting on any news there as well. Alex Len out, so nothing on there. You look at it, our projections, our value. LeBron, the best Laker, he's questionable. I'm not going to be plugging him in my lineup, waiting for that news. AD can always play him. I think AD's interesting, and if I went to any one of the Lakers, it would be AD because he can always get there even if LeBron plays, and it would be a big bump, and a lot of people wouldn't be able to change or have the flexibility if he was out. So I think AD is a very, very interesting spend up for a good price tag. So he's by far my favorite. The more I talk about it, the more I like him for sure. On the other side,
is not supposed to be in there, by the way.
Yeah,
I think that's just he just snuck in.
We're gonna get him out. Yeah, it says out right there. He's not supposed to be in there, so don't worry about Jared Vanderbilt. I'll hit a boomer when you're talking. But on the King side, you mentioned Aaron Fox's name really early in the slate. 8.3K is a good price tag. It's that step below the Dames, the D Mitch of the world that will get more ownership, which makes him a little interesting too. But give me AD, man. The more I talk about it, I would not be surprised to see LeBron sit on the second game of a back-to-back. And even if he doesn't, AD's got that type of upside. Can he chalk around it? How do you see this game going down? I'm going to message Boomer.
Okay, yeah. Firstly, I just want to say what's up to one of our members, GK Pfeiffer. Always around in chat. Good dude. So happy to see you in here, bro. Yeah, I have a lot of interest in this game too. I think that there's a chance LeBron plays, just with this being kind of a big game versus Sacramento. And the last time these two teams played, it went into overtime. We saw super heavy minutes from all the starters, and they had a blowout last night. The Lakers blew out the Grizzlies, so it's not like I don't think that they'll have many tired legs. I think they only got up to high 20s, if I'm not mistaken. LeBron only saw 23 minutes, so I think he has a good chance to play. A lot of the times when Braun is questionable, it's more so like a probable tag. The game time decision tag is probable most of the time. So I think he has a good chance to play, but I still like Anthony Davis over him. I mean, he's been the alpha on this team this year. Matchup versus Sabonis is pretty solid. I mean, the Kings have been pretty good defending the rim this year, but I think it's kind of a little bit of smoke and mirrors because Sabonis historically has not been a very good big men defender. So I think that AD has a huge upside for sure. We've seen him get upwards of 60 multiple times this year. Definitely think that's in play. I don't really have interest in LeBron, though. Even if he were to see elevated minutes in this game, 10K is kind of a lot for someone that old. I mean, he's still balling, still crushing it on a nightly basis, but I think I'll just take the younger guy with a little bit more upside in Anthony Davis. And I don't want to never playing centers against Anthony Davis. He's just really good at committing fouls. So I don't really have a ton of interest in Sabonis. But yeah, I like De'Aaron Fox a lot here in this matchup. I mean, he returned from injury, saw 36 minutes against the Cavaliers, really didn't skip a beat. He's one of my favorite players in the league, so I have a little bit of a bias, but the matchup versus the Lakers is pretty good for guards. They'll probably be throwing one of I would assume it's Cam Reddish probably trying to stay in front of him, but I mean, De'Aaron Fox is so fast. I think he could just blow by everybody and kind of be living in that mid-range tonight. And he could put up a really, really big score in a game that both these teams would really want to win. And yeah, I really like De'Aaron Fox tonight a lot. And I have some interest in Keegan Murray too. I mean, 6,400 is probably a little bit too big of a price tag for some people to want to play, but his minutes have been really, really good this year. He's averaging about 35 a game, got up to 38 minutes last game, shot the ball really well. He's going to be just launching from three. I don't know exactly how many he's averaging a game, but I mean, it feels like he shoots 8 to 10 every night. And if he can knock down, 4 or 5, I think he's got pretty big upside, and he will kind of be an afterthought on the defensive end for the Lakers. Could get a ton of open looks, and they've been really making it a point of emphasis to get him more involved offensively. So I like Keegan Murray. I mean, this game actually has pretty sneaky shootout potential, I think. And I mean, it's not looking at really any ownership. If you get your values right in some early plays, and you have an Anthony Davis and De'Aaron Fox going later, it would be, and you could be feeling pretty good just seeing your lineup climb to the top with that little pairing. So I definitely have some interest in this game for sure.
Yeah, I was hesitant to say because I have no stats to back it up, but I do feel like Fox always smashes these Lakers. The night slates, late night hammer. I mean, man, yeah, I know you're going to look that stat up right now, but it's obviously tough because Tyrese and Fox are playing with each other a little bit. But I always feel no one can stay in front of Fox, like you said. He gets up for these big games. None of AD, D-Russ, and LeBron didn't play in the fourth quarter yesterday because they blew them out, and I looked and they don't play until Friday. So I'm going to take a step back a little bit on LeBron. He is questionable, but yeah, the more it would make, they don't play till Friday and then it's Sunday. So they don't even have a back-to-back then. It wouldn't make sense. Close game, close spread. He probably does play. I still like AD, but I guess the more I don't like him as much as I liked him before, expecting LeBron to play when I wasn't as certain before. So that's why I like talking to you. People in chat help us out a ton. I still do like AD. I mean, he can always smash, but at that price, like I'd prefer Tatum if Jaylen Brown was out. I still prefer the Dames, the D-Mitch. I didn't ask you. We're wrapping up the show, but you said Dame and D-Mitch were 1A, 1B. Do you have a lean on those two?
I think I'll probably go with Dame just because I think he could just kind of be the alpha tonight for that team. I mean, same with – I mean, actually, that's really tough. I'm not sure. Yeah.
I lean Dame a little bit too. I like the LeVerts, the Mobleys enough, and he's so score independent. I guess not like Dame really isn't either. Both D-Mitch and Dame are, but I mean, man, the Bucks have looked bad, and they don't have much offense really outside of Giannis. It's low post ball, and they're not going to post up Brooke and Bobby all game, I don't think. So I think Dame might chuck a little more or has that in the range of outcomes. But it's 1A, 1B, two of the more popular spend-ups. How about JaVale at min-price 3K? Not on this slate, in my opinion. I don't think you need that one bit. And we will have showdown content up. I believe it's this game, the Lakers-Kings game, usually is for showdown content. So Rio on the site has showdown core reports. He gives his favorite captains, flex plays, a slate breakdown, and then on the side as well, his exposure as well for the captain spots, his favorite flex spots as well. And I've seen a lot of people lay the house yesterday, shipped the showdown slate. So having a bad main slate, or you can't play the main slate because you can't be around your computer for 3 hours, get in that night slate, get in that showdown slate. Use our projections at SHIPIT.com. And of course, make sure to use that promo code MAYO. Gets you 10% off any package, $69 a month $59 for the 6-month package it comes out to, and then for the annual package it comes out to $49 a month before using that code Mayo. We'll be back tomorrow as always on the SHIPIT Nation YouTube channel. Go give Tambo wish him a good luck in the King of the Beach. He's heading out tomorrow to Miami looking to take down $300,000, which would mean $30,000 he'd be giving away. So check his Twitter out, get in that giveaway. Let's see some SHIPIT Nation logos up top tonight. Head over in the Discord. Everything will be updated with injury news as it goes. Good luck tonight, Rio. Great work as always. Good luck to everybody out watching. We appreciate you guys a ton. For Hebrewcheetah, I'm Titletown. Go win something. Good luck tonight.